What were your immediate thoughts as you witnessed Challenger destruct from the Capcom console in Mission Control?
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It went through several phases in my mind. The mission had progressed smoothly to that point. Dick Covey and I, who were the Ascent Capcoms, had worked with the crew for perhaps a half a year in preparation. And so we knew that they were fully prepared to fly a very successful mission. And of course, all of the crew members were very, very close friends, many of them in our Shuttle Astronaut class, 1978. I was a chief Capcom at that point, and but Dick Covey was the one actually transmitting to the orbiter. And so I sat as the weather Capcom, and as such I had an ability to look around and see other things. Dick had to spend his time looking at the display in front of him and responding and transmitting what the flight director told him to do. Well, at the go at throttle up command, I looked over at a monitor behind the flight director, and I saw the flash, and I thought to myself, I intellectualized this, that they had improved the optics such that what I had seen on other missions, I was seeing much, much better. So I thought what I was looking at was a solid rocket booster separation. But that was just a momentary thought, and as soon, almost instantaneously, I knew what had happened, and I was about ready to press the button and say Godspeed Challenger, but I didn't do it, and I regret not doing that. But it was not a good day. I know that Jay Green was the flight director, and I know the two of us just stared at each other for the longest time after that, and then we closed the doors of Mission Control, and for the next 5 or 6 hours we tried to determine if there was something that we should have seen that we could have identified earlier, but obviously there was nothing that we could have seen. Where the hot gas escaped was not a part that was, we had any sensors or anything there, so there was nothing there, but it was a horrible day.
On the long glide back to Earth, between re-entry and touchdown, how did all those shuttle flights manage to avoid any conflicts with commercial aircraft traffic?
That's actually pretty easy to answer, because when we finally get into the vicinity of the runway, whether it's here at the Kennedy Space Center or out at Edwards Air Force Base in California, we cross the runway at probably 70,000 feet. And then we fly a very controlled circular approach to touchdown. Most airliners fly about 30,000 feet. So we are significantly above any airplane that would be flying. And once we are in the control zone or the landing zone of the respective runway, then that is highly controlled by air traffic control, and airliners are not allowed in there at all. So we are significantly above airline traffic until we're in the vicinity, and then the air traffic control assures that there are no commercial airplanes flying in the landing area.
Cloud from California wants to know what you most value as your experience as an astronaut.
Well, that's actually a pretty easy thing. You know, when I launched the first time, I pretty much thought I knew everything. I thought I knew the answer to everything. I thought I'd seen everything, and that this was just going to be kind of a thrill ride for me. But when I got to orbit, and the main engines cut off, and I went from 3G to 0G, and my arms floated, and everything around me was floating, I had never anticipated anything like that. And when I looked out at the window at the heavens and looked at and saw how orderly and how in harmony it was, I said to myself, I'm a very spiritual person, that God has put that there for me to see. And to look down at Earth and see the interaction and reactions of the water in the atmosphere, the dirt, the continents down there, how all of those years of studying all suddenly came clear to me. And then to watch how the body changes very subtly and how you become a space person, an alien, and how simple it is, and how all of those things that we considered almost impossible initially were just routine. So I think the experience for me broadened me significantly. But on something smaller, my sense of where I came from went from Washington, D.C., where I was born, to the United States, to the world. And so I came back as a world citizen as opposed to a citizen from the location, Washington, D.C., where I was born. And I think that occurred to just about everybody, well, to everyone who flies. And that's just one of many, many things that occur to you when you fly.
Do you have a favorite memento from your 3 missions?
I have lots of mementos, but if you come to my house, you will find very little space memorabilia displayed. But in my career, I've had these stops and starts, and the stop was when I was no longer having fun or didn't feel as though I was making a contribution. And I've never looked back at the past. I'll then start off on something new. And so I've had so many exciting things after the space program that I don't have a lot of, there's very little indication in my house that I actually flew to space. So I have baskets of this stuff that one day I will go in and find it. But everything I do look at brings back great memories, but I don't believe I have one single thing from those flights that I cherish more than anything else.
And last question, were there significant challenges with flying a classified mission versus one that wasn't in regards to training and mission control?
The training and mission control, you're not, the training and mission control in one way or another is not affected by it being a classified mission. But if you were going to go and do some training away from the Johnson Space Center or Kennedy, then you can never tell anybody where you're going. For example, I would just take off and my wife would ask me where I was going and I would say, I don't know. Something like that. So it's not so much the training and the mission preparation. It's trying to sidestep direct questions from people that you love, and even after you fly, you still can't talk about it. But training for a classified mission actually is much easier than an unclassified mission because there are many fewer people involved.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Astro Chat with Colonel Fred Gregory.